Go!
Alors, un incontournable du NAB, c'est le beau David. Avid, cette année, ont parti en grand. En fait, ils ont annoncé que Symphony, leur logiciel de online, de finishing, qui est une version haut de gamme de Media Composer, est maintenant disponible à tous ceux qui ont des Final Cut 7, qui ont des premières et tout, pour 995. Et on est ici avec Bob RUsso pour voir un peu c'est quoi les différences entre Media Composer et Symphony et pourquoi c'est vraiment un bon deal, le deal qu'ils font à 995. So, Bob, we're here to show difference between Media Composer, because we've already shown Media Composer a couple of times at our meetings. We're here to show really what are the tools that are in Symphony that are not in Media Composer, sure, and what can we use them for.
Right, absolutely. So Symphony has a far better color corrector than from Media Composer. It really has all the tools you need to finish television. Media Composer is A-OK, and you can get most of your work done that way. But Symphony has some unique features, right? A couple of the things that overlap, right? There's curves and HSL overlap. So the curves tab in Symphony and Media Composer is identical. Okay. But HSL, Symphony has far more of options with which to color correct. Really, somewhat indispensable for trying to finish shows. Okay. And then with like in hue offsets, it has more tools even in hue offsets, and then luma ranges doesn't exist in Media Composer. There's also channels, which is really an amazing way of sort of color blending, taking a shot and really just pushing it really far. Levels, working with the luma. And then a secondary, so you can put essentially up to 8 secondaries on a shot, okay, right? So that's just the color correction tool set itself, right? So it's far superior. It's not just a little bit better, it's a lot better, right? Then it has an option it's called relational color correction. And that's the ability to apply a correction, have it apply over multiple clips in the same timeline. And
save a lot of time.
Absolutely, right? So if you have an interview sequence, you apply it to one shot, every time that interview comes up, it's automatically color corrected, right? Same thing with B-roll, whatever you're working with. If you're cutting spot work, color correct to 60, the 30, 15 to 10 are already done, right?
Okay. And as for secondaries, what are the tools you have to select like the part of the image you want to really work on?
Right. So it's really it's all hue saturation based, right? Okay. So you would be able to pick a color in the shot, select it, and then you can,
So you have a color picker, and you
absolutely.
Mainly.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a color picker that you then can select and start making some adjustments and move it around. Absolutely. And so you can just put up to 8 of them on the same shot.
Great. That's a cool thing.
Right. Then there's one last feature.
Okay.
The last feature is called universal mastering. Yes. And the way to describe universal mastering is that you would need a nitrous DX for universal mastering. And the way
so the Nitrous DX is the hardware Avid is.
Yeah, so Avid makes 2 pieces of hardware: the Mojo DX and the Nitrous DX. So the Nitrous DX is required for universal mastering, and what that does is it essentially, sort of in a nutshell, if you're working in a 2398, 24, 20, or 25p project, you could essentially master frame accurately to a 23, 24, 25, or 5994, 1080i 5994. So the concept would be you're acquiring a show, you're editing a documentary, and now you sell it to North America, and that you have to finish a 1080i 5994. What it'll do is Symphony will actually speed up or slow down the show, right, depending on what you're doing, what frame rate you're working in, and so that it's a perfect hour, right? So 1 hour at 2398 is 1 hour at 1080i 5994. The same token, right, you're delivering to Europe, right? You got to deliver 50 hertz. You're going to then just switch it to 25p and do a digital cut, and it'll actually speed it up. What's different about universal mastering, and as opposed to like what in Media Composer and Symphony, we call them motion adapters, right? All the other NLEs are all clip-based, right? So if going from 2398 to 2997, you're adding we add, right? Not every NLE, we do it very well. We add a 2-3, a normal 2-3 all the way through. but it's clip-based. So at any moment in time, that 2-3 could be broken, right? So it starts off with that first clip, it's 2-3, 2-3, 2, right?
Yeah.
And then the next clip starts over and starts that cadence over. So every clip has a different cadence, right? And so what we do, right, and then certainly if you have anything that's native to that frame rate that you're working in, doesn't have any cadence at all, right? So you have this complete like cadence, this going left and right, backwards and forwards, right? With universal mastering, the entire sequence is treated as essentially one clip, and you have a perfect cadence all the way through it.
Okay. And how will it work? Because now we can put like multiple formats in a timeline. So
right.
how does it manage that?
We've been able to put multiple formats in the same sequence at the same time for quite a while now. And we do that better than any other NLE on the planet, right? We have the best frame rate conversion of any NLE, our software frame rate conversion.
So the mastering tool will be able to take all these different formats and not put it
no, I mean, no, actually no. The idea, the concept is that you're shooting a project and you're going to shoot everything in 2398, or you're going to shoot everything in 24p, whatever, or everything in 25, whatever. Yes. But now you can, your whole show consists of the same cadence, the same exact frame rate. You can now change the frame rate, essentially when you go to do, inside that project, you go do a digital cut, you can now select a different frame rate, right? And now the entire show will have one consistent frame rate through it.
Excellent, so, well, these are very powerful tools for anybody finishing a show, delivery, and well, this is aimed at a television market, mainly?
Yeah, absolutely, I would say broadcast television, right?
Okay.
So episodic, that type of work where you're dealing with a lot of footage and documentary work, where you have the same shot used over and over again. I mean, I have one customer who does soap operas, and he uses the relational color correction. Essentially, he corrects one camera because it's the same camera. It's controlled lighting. The same correction goes all the way through the entire show, and very, very quickly, he has 3 or 4 cameras, and his show is done. He can cut down. He can color correct an entire show in 20 minutes.
And what's the place of Symphony in your old product line? So you have Media Composer and other finishing software.
Right. So DS is our high-end, nodal compositor. Right. That's our high-end piece of software, and that's really, the sort of in a nutshell, the way to describe it is it's a compositor that you can edit with. Right. It's a really good editor but it's a compositor first and foremost. Resolution independent, really incredibly powerful. Right. Then stepping down from there is Symphony. So Symphony is essentially the family line of Symphony, the Symphony, News Cutter, and Media Composer. They're all essentially very similar in code base. If you know News Cutter, you can work on Media Composer. If you know Symphony, you can work on News Cutter, right? They're all very similar, so it's very easy. So if you already know Media Composer, it's very, very easy. Nothing of editorial changes.
And right now you have a very good cross-grade program for people who have let's say Final Cut, who have older version of Avid software, to go to Symphony for $995. So let's say somebody has a Final Cut Station and wants to move to Symphony. So most of the hardware is supported to work in Symphony to work with it.
Yes,
is that right?
Absolutely. It's a ridiculously good deal that we have going on. $1,000, right? $995 for. So essentially, we're looking for a Final Cut Pro serial number, right? Or Express Pro, Express DV. I mean, any old. I mean, you might have an old, Express dongle in a drawer somewhere you haven't used. You can upgrade that one and get Symphony for $1,000. It's an amazingly good deal. And we have this OpenIO hard architecture. So we developed this with the third-party hardware manufacturers. So now, really, just about every piece of third-party hardware is available and works in Media Composer. And Symphony, of course. Media Composer, Symphony, and News Cutter, right? The same family, right? What we do are a little unique, right? From not even a little unique, what we're doing extremely unique from other manufacturers is that we developed the SDK, the third-party hardware manufacturers write to it. It's very robust, it's very stable. But what happens is, like, say something goes wrong with your system, and you have a Kona card, and you call up Avid Tech support, right? Avid Tech support will do everything in their power to resolve your issue. If they can't resolve it, in order to get our SDK, in order to develop for Media Composer and for Symphony, you have to agree, the company has to agree, to do a warm handoff from our support to their support, right? Okay. So imagine this, right? You have a problem, Avid Tech support believes that it's the Kona card. Avid Tech support will actually call over and get an AGA support rep on the phone. And at one time, you will have on the phone a support rep from both AGA and Avid at the same time trying to solve your problem. No other manufacturer does that. We're the only ones that are doing that, and that's how we can, that's how even though we're going third-party hardware, we can take care of you much, much better.
So now for $9.95, we're able to get as cross-grade Symphony with secondaries, with the auto master tools to output various formats, and we have a great price and we have good support. Right. That's a great deal.
Absolutely, it's an amazing deal, and all show people have been coming up and they're like, what? Right? What's it? Right? And actually, there's actually one more thing that Symphony comes with, and that's Boris Continuing Complete. I actually forgot about that.